Hey guys, it's one of my favorite times of the year. This is September, and this is one of my favorite things to do is a good old-fashioned gear dump. I've got my pack loaded up with everything but food and water. We just weighed it with the bow and everything, 35.6 pounds. So let's get into the pack and see what I'm bringing. So what you see here, I'm just going to do a little bit of an overview. Okay, so I've got the cub on the back. I've got some insulation pieces in there. I'll talk to you more about what I do with that a little bit later. I've also got a Crazy Creek seat. All those are on top of my bow, kind of provides some protection there. And then I'm running the IA 5K pack system with the pannier for this hunt. Now this is a 4 to 5 day bonsai trip into the backcountry for elk. So it's September and we're gonna go get after it about the third week or so. First thing I'm gonna talk about, guys, is what I'm wearing on the way in. Okay, we'll start from the bottom, start with my boots. I'm wearing the Crispy Brickstall Mountain GTX boots. And then sock wise, pair of Darn Tough. I think these are the 112 Gators, the Peaks Stormcastle Gators. Pants, the 308s from First Light. Love those pants. Set of wear. These are merino from First Light. I forget which ones, but I've had them probably 6-7 years. And then finally over the top, I'm wearing an Arc'teryx long sleeve merino. It's a quarter zip, and I just love that piece. Now also I'm gonna have my Peaks trekking poles. These are the cork handle trekking poles. So I've really come to enjoy these and the comfort of these. I just never leave anywhere without these. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is gonna be a quick version of what I'm packing in my pack from a clothing perspective. Okay, moving on to what I've packed clothing-wise in my pack. Okay, so I've got, let's start with this. This is the Kiln hoodie from First Light. It's a synthetic merino blend. I always have an extra pair of Darn Toughs, and so I'll be gone for 4 to 5 days on this hunt. And so 2 pairs of socks is really all I usually take. Now I do take a change of wear, and again, this is the First Light merino wear. Now from an insulation standpoint, before I forget, I have my camp shoes, my trusty Crocs. Some of you may laugh, but these are money at the end of the day. Got to use those. Insulation pieces. I've got this down. This is called the Anchor Point from Black Ovis. This is actually a hooded vest. A lot of times I won't even wear my puffy jacket. In September, I'll be plenty good enough with this. So I really like this piece for an insulation layer. And then finally, I've got the Atmosphere jacket from Go Hunt, and this has become one of my favorites. This is it's fleece lined, and I just really like this. It weighs nothing, and it packs away super tight. So I really like that piece from First Light. So that covers everything that I'm going to have in my pack for this 4 to 5 day hunt from a clothing perspective. All right, now we're going to go into camp basically. And this will be shelter, sleeping system, and also comfort. Okay, and let me talk about comfort first. I have a bad back, have for years, and I have developed a system that works really well for me. Okay, so it all starts with this Crazy Creek chair. And the chair weighs about I think it's a little under a pound, maybe right at a pound. But for me, that back support around camp or glassing on the hill is so worth it, and that keeps me going day after day. Now, I combine that, we've got our initial set cub, and I put some buckles on there so I can quick release it off my pack. But I'm going to show you what's in here. I've taken my puffy gear. So I've got the atmosphere jacket and I've got the vest. Now, typically I'll probably be, if I'm sitting around camp or glassing, I'll probably be wearing one, if not both of those. But also, I have a couple of pieces of 1/2-inch closed cell foam always in this cub. And so I use it for a seat or a glassing pad. So that 1/2-inch foam, you can get some full 1-inch foam. They're like kneeling pads at Lowe's or Home Depot, something like that. But I just keep it in the cub, and then I just stack things on top of it. And that is the perfect seat for me. It also works for a pillow as well, if you want to use it that way. So that's a little trick that I use just to make sure I stay, good out there on a lot of days on the hunt. Okay, next we will go to the actual sleep system. Okay, I've got the Peaks Solace 15 sleeping bag. This is the best sleeping bag I've ever owned. Look it up. We've got the link in the description. It is money. Now, I do have it in a Sea to Summit dry bag, and I've got all the air compressed out of it. So this resides in the very bottom of my pack. Doesn't take up much room when you do it like that. Now, Thermarest Neo Air. This weighs next to nothing. It's about 12 ounces, I think. This is the one that's insulated I think it's at about 3 or so rating. That is what I'm going to take for September. I'll move into the NXT, the more insulated one, that's about 7 on an insulation rating once we get a little bit colder, maybe into October or something. The Sea to Summit Arrows pillow, I have to have a pillow. So I can either use like my cub with insulation layers, but I like my head to be against something like this. It's got a little bit of, it's a different material, and it just feels really good to my face and my head, and I can sleep really good with that. So that weighs about 1 ounce. For shelter, the new Peaks Solitude 1 is what I'm using. So it's a 1-person shelter, kind of 1.5 really, because it is really a good size for what it is. So with that, the footprint, and these carbon fiber poles that it comes with, it's about, because you can use trekking poles with it as well, it's about 24 ounces altogether. So man, this is the first season I'm using this. I just got it in the mail the other day because Peaks just came out with it. So I'm really excited to check out that Solitude. One thing I forgot to mention with the Thermarest Neo Air is I've got this flex tail, and this blows up my pad. It keeps me from having to use my mouth on it and get moisture into the pad. Moisture creates all kinds of science going on in there. So I like to use this flex tail, and you can hear it. This also serves as a great way to start fires. Or you can keep yourself cool, whatever you want to do. This flex tail doesn't weigh anything, and it lasts a long time and really helps you blow up your pad. I'm going to be hunting at about 9,000 feet on this first hunt, and so me trying to blow up a sleeping pad at 9,000 feet doesn't really work all that efficiently. So I'm going to save my air and use this flex tail. So that's my sleeping system, as well as my shelter and comfort system. All right, now I'm going to talk about my cook system and hydration system and coffee system. So let's talk about hydration real quick. This year I'm trying out the Drifter hydration system. This is, I think, the one and only hard bladder out there. So I kind of like that because when you're trying to fill that, it doesn't get compressed by whatever's in your pack. It holds its shape and water flows freely in there. Plus, it's actually pressurized. So you can go to the link in the description and read more about that. But that also comes with a filtration system. Now, I typically on my hunts use a bottle, several of these Hydra packs, which I do have one in here, as well as a SteriPen. But I'm going to try this system out this year. So they have this dirty bag, and they have this little filter. Now, this is a bee-free filter by Catadine. We've got a little straw, and basically you're going to fill up your water in this, and then you're going to take your mouthpiece off. It's got a quick disconnect, and then you're going to plug this right in there, and you never have to take this bladder out of your pack. So I'm going to try that little system this year and give her a go, see how that works. As a backup, I do have these Catadine Micro Pure tablets, and so you get in a real pinch, you can use tablets to disinfect this water. Drifter also has this little bottle, and it holds, I think, 16 fluid ounces total. So you can use this as a mixer bottle, put your hydrate and recover type stuff or your energy stuff in this little bottle, so you don't have to put it in that bladder. Cook system wise, on this trip, I'm going pretty light, and I'm using this Go Hunt titanium cook pot with an MSR pocket rocket. That's old school. It's kind of been around for a while. And then, of course, some power, jet power fuel there. That stows away really, really small, and it's really, really light. I keep it in this little bag, and that's what I'll boil my water with, because I'm bringing freeze-dried meals on this trip, and that's all I need to do is just boil water, put it in there, it rehydrates, and I've got my hot meal. I can also heat up my morning coffee. And what I've got for that is this little luxury right here. This is called an AeroPress. And Chris Young showed me this. Comes with these little filters. It's basically a coffee press. Now, I know that's getting a little bit foo-foo for everybody out there. But man, if you like a good cup of coffee like I do, this is the way to go. So I use this for the cup. You're going to take this off, put your filter in there, and you're going to have this right here. I need to clean that and put your coffee in there. You're going to hold it right there. It's going to steep, and then after about 60 seconds or so, you're going to slowly push that down. Maybe I got to check the time on that, but you're going to slowly push that down, and you have an amazing cup of coffee. So if you like coffee like I do, look at one of these. Find them on Amazon. But thank you, Chris Young, for that little tip. Okay, and then it just goes back. Doesn't weigh much. Not sure exactly the weight on that, but we'll check that out. Put a link to that in the description as well. Now, last but not least, my Peaks titanium spoon. That's what I'm going to be eating my meals with. So that does it for hydration and cook system. So on to the next thing. Okay, kill kit. Go through this real quick. I keep everything in a large initial ascent pack sack, running Graxaw game bags. I do have a couple of latex gloves. Knife-wise, MKC Speed Goat 2.0. I've got goat knife replaceable blade. I always bring a contractor bag. That works for laying meat out and keeping it clean. You can also keep your pack really clean with that. There's just a ton of options on that. I think I've even written an article on our blog about the handiness of the contractor bag. Got some cord. This is our initial ascent don't shoot me flap or safety flap. Just goes on basically any pack, but I always like to have that in my kill kit. So that's it for the kill kit. Okay, now I'm going to talk about first aid kit and personal gear. So that includes fire starter, that includes electronics, that includes just day-to-day stuff, as well as bathroom kit. And then I consider this as something that I keep very, very close to me. These are just electrolyte packets. This is liquid IV. I usually have one of those mixed up pretty much at all times to stay hydrated. So let's start with electronics. So now for this hunt, I'm not going to carry a ton of electronics. I'm not carrying a solar panel, but I've got this little charger right here. This is like 10,000 milliamp hours, and I can't even remember where this. Mark Livesey recommended this. It's on his vodcast. Anyway, this is the lightest little battery pack. It's called Night Core, and man, I just really, really like that. I've used that. I use that in the spring and all the summer, and it's really, really handy. I've got cord to charge my headlamp, cord to charge my iPhone if needed. Again, 4 to 5 day hunt, may not need to even recharge. And then I also have my Petzl E-Light. That is a backup headlamp source. So you've also got a flashlight on your phone if you want to use that. So that's electronics. No solar panel, and just one battery pack. Now, fire starter kit. I put this also in a small initial ascent pack sack. I've got some pyro putty in here. There's some pyro putty in there. Actually, in here we have the Esbit. Those things burn. They start really quickly. Pyro putty works as well. And then I've got the pyro putty lighter, and I've also got some backup storm matches that are sealed up. I have had to use those before. This is the little charger for the pyro putty lighter, but that thing, you charge it at home and it goes for years. So that's my fire starting kit. First aid kit. Now there's a lot of crap in here, so I'll just briefly tell you a couple of the things that I make sure I bring. I do have a trauma kit, so it's got it's the quick clot version of when I say trauma kit, I mean stopping bleeding. I've got your typical Band-Aids, your typical all your medications, you know, from Tylenol to anti-diarrheal type stuff to Benadryl for allergic reactions, alcohol prep pads. I've got some gauze. I've got these salt sticks. These are fast acting hydration chews. I've used those before. Just kind of a whole myriad of things in here. I've got some vet wrap, some rubber gloves. This is just kind of a first aid kit that is good enough to, you know, take care of scrapes, take care of minor type stuff till help gets here. You ask about tourniquet. I've got this in a medium pack sack, and my tourniquet doesn't fit in here. So I have my tourniquet really handy in my lid. I've got one there, and I've also got one in my Bino harness as well. So got 2 tourniquets at all times. That's the first aid kit. Now, the everyday kit. This is something I'm going to break into every day, possibly. I've got Advil. I've got, this is a little toothbrush thing that I've got, and it actually has these, it's like freeze-dried toothpaste, and they're really light, and it works really well. I just started using those, kind of picked those up at REI or something. Visine, I've got dental floss, little plackers. I've got sunscreen in here, and I usually keep my vitamin mineral supplements in there as well. I do have a case for my glasses. And so those are the types of things that I've just got in that every day. I'll visit this thing every morning and sometimes every evening as well. Now the bathroom kit. Gone a little bit different here this year. I'm no longer taking that roll of toilet paper and having to make room for it. So I did find some toilet paper on Amazon that just, it's quilted, soft, and it just comes flat. So you don't have to worry about that roll taking up a lot of space. I do prefer to keep it in a Ziploc bag to keep this dry at all times. I also bring these body wipes. They're called Pure Active body wipes. Got those on Amazon as well. And those really work, kind of freshen up after a couple days. Dude wipes are always in my bathroom kit. I do have some Wilderness Wash. That's just some soap. And then I also always have some hand sanitizer as well, which I need to go and get me some more hand sanitizer. I'm about out. So that way you can kind of keep things clean after you do your business. This is all stored in a large initial scent pack sack. So these pack sacks, I mean, you can see how many of them that I use. They're just handy for keeping things separate. We'll put a link to those in the description as well. But the cool thing about them is not only are they light, but they have this netting for where you can see exactly what's in there. So really, I've just always loved these pack sacks, and they're just so handy for keeping things organized. All right, that concludes the breakdown of the first aid kit and the personal care kit. Okay, folks, I've got a table full of honorable mentions or things that I forgot to talk about. So I'm going to go through those real quick. They were in my pack, but they just didn't fall into a category, or I just forgot them. So we've got a rain jacket. This is the Jupiter rain jacket by Cryptek. Speaking of rain, I had this in my side pocket. This is the initial scent rain cover. Great pack cover. It fits on any pack, actually. Also, with storms in mind, or rain, I do have the Peaks Solitude tarp. This is a brand new one that they came out with. Weighs next to nothing, and it's just really handy to always have in your pack. I'll have this on every single hunt because you just never know when you got to throw up a quick tarp. The Zoleo satellite communicator. This is something that you need to have on you at all times. Otherwise, you can have maybe a Garmin InReach Mini or something like that. So, dry bag. This is what I put my food in. So I've kind of simulated the dry bag full of food. This is the initial scent dry bag. Gloves. This was in my lid, as well as my beanie. Those reside in my lid, but I don't always wear them, so it's just kind of an as-needed basis. Here is the Lucy light. I use this in the tent at night and first thing in the morning. It's solar, it's inflatable, and it just provides some good ambient lighting in the tent itself. This is something that I've got to put in my hydration kit. This is just liquid IV. I use this stuff like it's going out of style for hydration. This is also a necessity, especially this time of year in September, wind detector. So this resides in my Bino harness. For some reason, it was in my hip belt pouch. So the next few things I'm going to talk about were stuffed in my hip belt pouch, and that's why I didn't grab them out. So Peaks headlamp. This is the Peaks Duo headlamp. This is the best headlamp on the market. It's rechargeable, and it lasts a long time. So never go anywhere without a Peaks headlamp. I even have one in my truck as a backup. The Easy Sucker from Phelps. Now, I will be the shooter on this particular hunt, so hopefully I won't have to drag any calls out. I do have a bunch of calls in here, diaphragms. This is from Slayer calls, and this little pouch is from Bendable Products. Just kind of wear that around your neck. And then last but definitely not least is my Stan Onyx release. This is my go-to release. I do have a backup in my Bino harness, but this one is this is my mainstay. So that kind of concludes for the miscellaneous items that I may have forgotten or they deserve honorable mention. Okay. Optics. This is the chest rig that I'm going to run. For binoculars, I'm going to run the Sig Sauer Zulu 6 16 by 42. So that's the image stabilizing binoculars. I really like those, especially for elk season. They're really light. And during the rut, we're not going to be doing a ton of long distance glassing and everything. We're hoping to be right into them. This is the FOB from FHS. All kinds of acronyms floating around here, but you can find a link in the description to that. I always run a tourniquet in my Bino harness. Now in the front pocket, I've got a set of Allen keys. I have a lighter with some tape around it, some Luco tape. And so always have those things at the ready. I also have some wipes for my lenses in there. On this side, I'm carrying a spare release. And for a rangefinder, I'm running the Sig Kilo 3K. Very light, very responsive, and just really like that rangefinder. So that is going to be the binoculars and the harness that I'm going to run. I'm not going to run a spotter or tripod on this particular hunt. So that kind of covers that. Again, links in the descriptions. So next thing we're going to cover is my weapon. Okay, the weapon of choice this September and this season is going to be my Mathews Lift X. It is set at 75 pounds, 27-inch draw length. I've got Mathews Ultra Rest on there. I've got the Excel driver sight. It's single pin. Actually, it's a single pin with it's double stacked right there. You can probably see that. And arrows that I'm running, the Rip TKOs. This is the V1, the Expert Series, running Blazer vanes, running Halo lighted Nox. This is the first time I'm using lighted Nox. And then broadhead wise, I'm using an expandable this year. And this is a Sever broadhead. It is their titanium hybrid, 1.5-inch cut diameter, and this is in 125 grains. So I really like these, especially you can put the set screw in there and practice with these as well. So that's a really, really cool feature that I like. And I've got a, let's see, I think that is a 75 grain insert. Or I'm sorry, I think that is a 50 grain insert on the end of that arrow as well. So all in all, we're sitting at 445 grains on this arrow, and again shooting 75 pounds with 27-inch draw length. So that's the bow that I'm going to take. Last thing, definitely not least, I have cutter stabilizer on as well, and I'm not running a back bar this year. I've been shooting with this, just trying to save on a little bit of weight, and so I'm running the cutter up front but nothing in the back, and that's been working out really, really good for me. So that's kind of what I'm doing for my weapon this year. So that concludes my gear dump. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll have all the links to basically everything in the description, and you'll kind of see a list of what I've talked about today. If you have any questions, drop us a question in the comment, or if you have suggestions, we welcome those as well. So we really love doing these gear dumps and just passing a little bit of what we're doing on to you. Any more questions or interest in our packs, go to initialascent.com. Have a great season.